It's not a secret that housing prices have gone up by a third in the last 3 years alone, and they are likely to increase even more in the future. But what if we had the technology that can build houses faster, cheaper, without human intervention, and even on the moon? This is the promise of 3D printed houses. It sounds like a pipe dream, but with more and more projects underway, it's starting to look like reality, which is why we are going to take a look at this new technology and how to invest in it. Generally speaking, building houses hasn't really changed that much since humans began stacking rocks to make shelters. Most homes still require teams of workers to stack layers of bricks or cinder blocks manually, hammer nails into wooden frames, and attach the siding. This ancient method is obviously heavily reliant on individual skills and manual labor. It produces large amounts of waste, noise, takes time, and yields low productivity. In contrast, the 3D printing approach promises to build houses faster, cheaper, and more accurately with fewer people. For example, according to a recent article in the World Economic Forum, 3D printed houses can cost up to 45% less than those built with traditional methods, because instead of using expensive materials and labor, the houses are built with fewer materials which can be sourced locally, consequently making 3D printed houses more sustainable. Besides that, they can be constructed up to 20 times faster than traditional construction methods. Additionally, the construction process is automated with around 2 to 3 people per printer, which means that the risk of human error is drastically reduced. 3D construction companies also say their materials will last longer and are more robust than most traditional building materials. This new way of construction also provides an opportunity to customize the design of your home with curvilinear shapes, which are extremely hard to achieve with normal construction methods. With benefits like these, it's no wonder that 3D printing construction is gaining momentum worldwide. Okay, but how does 3D printing a house actually work? Honestly, it's quite simple. As normal 3D printing houses involves using computer-generated designs to create 3D objects from a digital file built up layer by layer. Currently, there are a number of different types of construction 3D printers, from polar machines to gantry-mounted printers to mobile robots. To construct houses, they mainly use a cement blend mixed with a range of ingredients from sand and special polymers to bioresins like soil, clay, or wood flour. For example, Icon's Vulcan construction system consists of a 3D printer and a portable cement mixing unit which prepares a high-strength building material called lavacrete. A software platform creates the digital architecture and then controls robotic hardware on site to slowly build up the structure of the homes. The US had an estimated housing shortage rising from 2.5 million units in 2018 to 4 million in 2020 to 6.5 million at the end of 2022. And with this number likely rising even more, I think 3D printing houses could help solve this US housing crisis. But only if they are cheap enough that people can actually buy them. Because even though developers stateside and abroad report average cost savings of 30 to 45%, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will sell them at cheaper prices. Because if they sell them at median prices of normal houses, they could earn significantly more. Luckily though, one of the first 3D printed houses in the US hit the market at the start of 2021 and was listed for $300,000 on Zillow, which is expensive, but that was still about 20% lower than the median sale price in that area at the time. 3D printing houses still has some rough edges to smooth out, with the first one being the limitation on size, because right now the 3D printer itself has to outsize whatever you're trying to build, which limits you to building just residential houses. Another thing worth pointing out is that after building the foundation and walls, you may need more workers to complete the building, such as adding plumbing and installing windows. A huge problem that should go away with time is that the entire design procedure must be handled differently, since 3D printers cannot use conventional blueprints, meaning that there isn't enough professionals specialized in 3D printed structures. As a result, the new technology's enhanced capabilities are not fully utilized throughout the design process. And while this technology will ultimately lead to the creation of new work opportunities, it also has the potential to eliminate a large number of current professions, as it will have a considerably bigger influence on blue-collar occupations than any industrial revolution ever did. All in all, 3D printing is on a 23% compound annual growth rate over the decades to come, even piquing the interest of NASA, which funded a $57 million project to develop tech for moon site 3D printed infrastructure such as landing pads paths, habitats, and roads on the lunar surface. If you've made it this far, you probably agree with me that this technology is here to stay, and despite it being extremely new, it will most likely exponentially grow in the future with growth potential quite literally out of this world. So let's get right into the ways of investing in it. First of all, companies in the construction 3D printing sector can be split into two main categories: companies making 3D printers and companies making ingredients for the blend used by 3D printers. In the first category we can find Cobot. The Danish-based manufacturer's first 3D printer was called Bot, and with it they started working all over Europe, which allowed them to learn and optimize their machine, and that is how they developed the second generation of the 3D printer, the Bot 2. With over 50 3D printers sold, Cobot helps to lead the way in 3D construction printing. Sadly, this company doesn't have its own stock and is privately owned by General Electric, Cemex, Holcim and PRI as key shareholders, with General Electric, Cemex and Holcim having their own stocks. Another strong company in the same category is Texas-based Icon. Their numerous projects have included working together with home builder Lennar to build a community of 100 3D printed homes, and a collaboration with NASA to simulate conditions on Mars. Their construction 3D printer called the Vulcan can create an entire home in about 24 hours using Icon's proprietary lava crate material. The company is also working on its improved Vulcan 2 construction 3D printer and on a printer called Olympus, which will be used to construct habitats and infrastructure on the moon. But quite sadly, this company is privately held and I couldn't find any publicly traded major shareholders. Then we have Saip Construction. The Dutch company has 4 printers, and what makes them unique is mobility. For example, the Saip RC printer has rubber tracks that allow it to roam freely around a construction site. The printers can print large structures in only 20 minutes but require 2 hands-on operators. Sadly, this company is also privately held. Another company making its own printers is Mighty Buildings. Its 3D printers use a special type of material called lightstone material that hardens when exposed to UV light, making it an efficient building material. In contrast to other companies, all construction takes place in the Mighty Building factory. Then the pieces are transported to the building site. But this company is also privately held. The next company making its own 3D printers is SQ4D, and what makes this company unique is the size of the house and the percentage of it that can be printed. Because unlike many other 3D printed homes, the foundation can also be built using their ARX printer. I hate to repeat myself, but this company is also privately held. Another prominent company is Wasp, which offers a 3D printer named Big Delta, and this printer is unique because it can extrude straw and earth to produce homes built using naturally sourced materials. For example, in the Gaia project, to produce the 30 square meter house they used local soil and natural waste materials from rice production, but this company also isn't publicly traded. And the last company is Apiscore. It features a mobile 3D printer which requires only 30 minutes to set up and a mobile automated mix and supply unit. And the main advantage of this printer is its stabilization system, which enables it to be installed on almost any surface with less than 10 centimeters of elevation difference. This company also isn't publicly traded, but in January 2022 it received official Regulation A+ qualification by the SEC to begin offering shares to both accredited and non-accredited investors, with their mission to get listed on Nasdaq in 3 years, which would be sometime in 2024. And that brings us to companies making materials for the blend used by 3D printers. The mixture used by almost all 3D printers is mainly made out of cement, so that's what I'm going to focus on. I didn't intend to make this video about investing in cement, but sadly here we are. I have already mentioned 2 companies that have a stake in one of the producers of 3D printers and are actually suppliers of cement, called Cemex and Holcim. So let's start with them. Cemex is Latin America's largest supplier of cement and sells a range of basic materials throughout its native Mexico, the US and around the world. The company has also been a leader in terms of sustainability, pledging to reduce its carbon dioxide emissions 40% by 2030 compared to 1990 levels and to reduce dust emissions by 95%, which should help it to win business from government customers trying to balance the need for construction with climate priorities. In the past decade, the company's stock has been moving up and down in waves by about 100% or so, and right now it's at its highs, so it might be wise to wait a bit before buying it. Holcim AG is the global leader in innovative and sustainable building solutions. The Swiss company produces cement, concrete, lime and other materials, and with its stake in Cobalt, it actually has some way of being directly connected to construction 3D printing. Its stock has been moving quite similarly to Cemex, but it also pays out dividends, which is always a plus. CRH is also a world leader in basic materials, supplying building products, aggregates, asphalt and cement primarily in Europe and North America, but it's also active in emerging markets such as Brazil, and its stock has been just continuously rising since its IPO. Besides that, it also pays out dividends, although its dividend yield is a bit lower than previously mentioned stocks. And lastly, we have Heidelberg Materials, which is one of the world's largest integrated manufacturers of building materials and solutions with leading market positions in cement, aggregates and ready-mixed concrete. They employ more than 51,000 people, and its stock has been moving more or less just like Cemex and Holcim. I honestly think 3D printing will be the main way we'll be building homes in the future, which is why I really wanted to find publicly traded companies making construction 3D printers. Sadly, there aren't any right now, so the only way to invest in them right now is by investing in General Electric or in cement producers. But because of high interest rates, construction will likely slow down, which means less demand for cement companies. So it might be best to just wait a bit before investing. But hey, I'm just a random guy on YouTube, so do what you want and thanks for watching.